Does your MySpace still exist? Is it still out there?
God, great question.
Do you remember your URL?
I don't actually. Like, this is not a bit. This is not me trying to like bury myself. I literally have no idea. I might have deleted it like on purpose. I'm pretty sure I did. My old band might still have a MySpace. Hold on. I'm gonna riskily pull up Google Chrome on the same computer I'm recording on real quick. Let's take a look.
It's not even like funny to show off my MySpace anymore because there's nothing there.
Well, yeah, because like half the content got deleted. More than half the content got deleted.
I would say like 99% at this point is just missing.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. My old band's MySpace does still exist. Do any of these tracks play?
No, none of the tracks will play. That's cool. Actually that's a legitimate like travesty that in a database migration, MySpace lost, like a botched database migration, MySpace lost basically the entirety of like 5 years worth of the music scene that wasn't preserved anywhere else.
God, that's the worst. It's not the worst, but it's pretty bad as far as my interests are concerned.
So MySpace, like I used to like occasionally pull up my MySpace because there were funny pictures on it, which I should have saved all of them and I didn't. But now all the pictures are gone, but the captions are still there.
Cool. That sounds useful.
Which lets me try to remember things like my emo pic of me from the Space Needle, or New Year's was uber amazing.
Oh God. Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite bands' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And today we are talking about Paramore's sophomore album, Riot. Came out in June of 2007. A very big album for both of us, as we kind of alluded to on the last record, kind of the one where we both, I think, kind of get it and are fully on board with the band. But yeah, released in June of 2007, produced and mixed by David Bendith. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. But
I don't know how else you would pronounce it.
I don't either. That unless you over enunciate the death part. Like as in Accidental Death by Rilo Kiley. That's a callback. This is comedy. Anyway, yeah. This album came out on Fueled by Ramen back in 2007. I thought that I had seen Paramore on the Riot tour, but I double-checked the dates, and the show I saw them at House of Blues was a couple months before this somehow. I'm not sure how that timing worked out. They did play several songs from Riot, though, so I'm not misremembering what I saw, if nothing else.
Yeah, the singles would have been out by then.
Yeah.
Who else was on that tour?
I legitimately do not remember. I think I know it was some all dude pop punk band that probably was on Fueled by Ramen, which does not narrow down the list of Fueled by Ramen bands from that era. But I'd have to double check.
This is a good tour. This is a good tour. I've got it up on Setlist FM right now.
Okay.
It was Paramore, The Almost, This Providence, and Love Arcade. I don't know who Love Arcade was, but This Providence was legit like my favorite band at that time.
Okay, cool. I think so. I went with my friend Kelly, and I'm pretty sure that we arrived way late because I think we only caught like half of a band set before Paramore went on. So that might be why I don't remember too well. But that's rad. I wish I'd been there for the whole thing. But yeah. Sorry, backing up a little bit. This album is kind of where Paramore kind of got cemented as a band that I really loved, as opposed to a band that I liked. Pretty much right around hearing this album for the first time. I kind of feel like it grows the band in pretty much every way that they possibly could without like stretching too far outside of like the sound they'd already established. But also like kind of giving it an even closer listen yesterday with the good headphones, if you will. I think I realized that maybe they did stretch the boundaries a little more than I initially thought. There's some real cool stuff going on in this album. But where were you at, Troy, when you first encountered Riot?
I mean, I'm 15 years old, in like a freshman in high school, or between my freshman and sophomore years of high school, which I think is like probably the perfect time to hear this record.
Yep.
Not the least because it was probably like written by people who were about the same age, or in part at least. They're 17 when this record comes out.
Not far off, yeah.
And I don't know. It was like the singles especially, but I mean the whole I had the CD and played the whole album often, but the singles I just remember were everywhere. I mean, you couldn't like walk into a Hot Topic without hearing Misery Business or That's What You Get, or even, and then they got like legit radio play. Like this was when, I mean, it was one of those things where like it was just incredible to see, because Fall Out Boy was really big by then, obviously, but like this was like we talked a little bit about this last week, but it was like it was like seeing your peers succeed, and it was like it was awesome. Obviously I don't know them, and peers is a bit of a stretch at that because of that, but like it's people my age, and they're making music that like felt like it really spoke to me and appealed to me. And I don't know, it was great. Like, and which is this like a thing that they talk about a ton in the Final Riot in like kind of weird ways looking back now, but like, oh, it's like the novelty of like a girl in a band, which like shouldn't be a novelty, and it really wasn't even then if you dig a little bit deeper, but like that was certainly what made them stand out in the scene that they were in. Yeah,
for sure. I was reading that interview with David Bendeth on Billboard. That was a 10-year retrospective, so it was a little while ago now, and like he was like, yeah, there were like no girls in rock at that point, and I'm like, man, I hope you know that there were, but like, yeah, maybe it's not. It's weird for him level to say that. It's not so weird for like a teenager to say that, because you might just not know, but like he's like produced big records, he's been around. He should know. He should absolutely know. I mean, although I do think that like rock was in a bad place in that time. There just were not a lot of like big rock bands that were interesting in any way. I don't like that's I always talk about that like 2007 to 2009 is like, I think like the true like nadir of pop music. It's when like the absolute worst, like kind of, that's when Bieber is coming up sort of, and that's when like I just think the most like annoying like novelty like just trash pop music is what is really popular. Yeah, I feel like I had a barrier around me of being in college and like working at the college music or at the college radio station, where like I missed most of that, and apparently it's a good thing, but I also feel like weirdly, whenever like a song from that era that was very popular comes up, I'm like, I've heard this a couple times, why does everybody know it? I'm like, oh right, it came out in 2008. Great. Yeah. No, and I'm like going to like high school dances and just being like miserable listening to all the music that they're playing, and it felt like the last like great rock band to get any sort of radio play at all was My Chemical Romance, and I was like, there's nothing else that I like is ever going to be that big again. So it was cool to see Paramore have some of that success. Yeah, for sure. And like, really more like legitimately huge after this record. Yeah, and like it's so interesting to look back at like watching the Final Riot. This is going to be top of mind for both of us because you just watched it today, right? I did. Yeah. Okay. So as we're recording this, we both just watched the Final Riot. R.I.P. the Congress Theater, a venue I've talked about on this show already a lot. But that room was huge, and that room was full of people holding up their little digital cameras, because phones didn't have good cameras yet unless you had an iPhone, and even at that point, questionable at best whether that was good.
The iPhone came out like I think the same week as this record.
That the only reason I knew that it existed at this point was because there is a shot of, I believe, Haley's iPhone during the movie, or during the documentary part. That is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So and I'm looking this up now because this is interesting to me. The iPhone, the original iPhone, launched on June 29th, 2007. So like 3 weeks after this record came out.
Amazing.
It truly Riot ushered in a new era in our culture.
Yep, it really did. But like looking at that full room, I'm like, and like kind of having the career that Paramore has had so far to look back on, they're not even at their height yet, which is wild given just like how like wild that room is going, how everybody knows all the words to all the songs except maybe Decoy, because you know not everybody had heard that one at that point. And like you know it's so cool to you know see a band like this in it, and I know that like this kind of scene is a very like album centric scene still at this point, but it's still very heartening to see everybody going hard for everything that is being played, not just the big singles and whatnot. I feel like that was like not even always true back then with a lot of bands that I was listening to.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's it's you know representative of the kind of relationship with their fans that they talk about in the documentary, where they're just you know I think that they're you know people are drawn to them because they you know they express these kind of like universal emotions in this very personal, heartfelt, earnest way. And like yeah, I think when people latch onto something like that, they want to consume every possible bit of it. And that is it's the time when like a rock album could still go platinum, but also like everyone, you could also pirate all the music too. Like it's in that it's sort of like the most exposure and also most like money there ever was in being in a rock band. I think yeah they really captured that and yeah you can see it in that show.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, this album also feels like it really does fall squarely into like a weird like golden couple of years in that like particular corner of rock music, because like the year before this we have the Black Parade, not a couple months before, well not a couple months, but like 4 months before this, Infinity on High drops, you know, and there are a million other examples, but they are all eluding me right now, so I'm not going to try. And like and all those sell gangbusters, and like all those bands are you know kind of like I said, bigger than they ever were before now, which is weird to think about given that this was almost 20 years ago now. Is this just how it goes? This is just how it goes, I guess.
It really is. It's like, but yeah, it's I cannot believe like watching that documentary how young they are. And like I guess I was that young once, but like to be that young and like on the pedestal of fame and like I mean you know obviously they write songs about this, but literally like the pressure of you know trying to like get across your artistic vision, and also like you know then the responsibility that you feel to like yourself, your fans, your family, whatever. Like I don't know, obviously it's an authorized documentary, like it doesn't really show how like kind of messed up some of the behind the scenes stuff probably was at that point. But I just every single scene I was just like they are so young. It is insane that they weathered this with any kind of like normalcy at all.
Yeah and it's funny to like hear them talk about like life on a bus. All the guys are like, Oh yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird, not very comfortable. And Haley's like, I sleep better on a bus than I do in normal life.
Yeah. They just interact with each other like such teenagers, and the way that they talk about like, oh, this is how the guys must feel. This is how Haley must feel. It's like the girl here. It's such a like, I don't know. It sounds silly looking back on it now, but it's like, no, they were 17 years old in 2008 or whatever, 19 years old in 2008. Like, that's just how everything was then.
Yeah.
But it feels like a different world looking at it now.
Right. Well, and of course, like being that age then, they probably weren't talking to each other about how they felt about how things were going at any given point, unless things were really
Of course
bad.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, and and again, you can like read about some of the behind the scenes drama, like even in like the lead up to this record and after it, and like they're always changing members and kicking people out for vague, like, we don't agree with their lifestyle reasons or whatever. And so like, Jeremy's out and back in, and Taylor York, they're, now still guitar player. This is when he joins as like a touring member. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of wild. I actually like surprised I had never seen that DVD before today, because that was the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that I would absolutely seek out with most bands that I liked at that point.
Yeah, for sure. The other just kind of one last like overview type thing that I found kind of funny before we really dive in. In that interview, it was mentioned that Haley was like doing kind of the concept for like the album's aesthetic, like, oh, the album title is going to be red, my hair is going to be red, it's going to look all scribbly and stuff like this. And he was like, you can't name it Riot, that's not very nice. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't mean it like that. And he's like, no, here's a dictionary definition. And she's like, yeah, that's the problem, is you're thinking about it non-abstractly. Like, what's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, that like that approach and the like the kind of drive and like artistic sense of artistic vision with the of like what the band should be aesthetically, musically, like, and he talks about how like Haley tried to write with co-writers, but the band was just too specific about what they wanted to really like have any outside help. I don't know, it's amazing. Like it's both like, oh yeah, obviously teenagers are like that, but also like amazing that they made it work and that it works as well as it does.
Yeah.
But that's like, I don't know, I think that it's also like kind of visionary. Like, I don't know, I mean, not plenty of bands were doing like, not like the Taylor Swift style Eras tour thing or whatever, but like you would, the more theatrical bands would stylize their entire stage show and aesthetic around an album. My Chemical Romance being the obvious, comp there.
Yeah.
But like, I think that the the Haley, picking that kind of design style and noting at that point that like this is that people are going to connect to something that is aesthetically coordinated across the album and the tour and the merch and the like promo pictures and what the band looks like and how the band acts, and like is this entire like I think that's a really forward thinking approach to being a band that is, almost 20 years later, is that now that's like how everybody has to do it.
Right. Yeah. Like, I definitely, I don't know that I've ever thought this hard about any release that I've been involved with. Like, and like, not to throw any shade, just like my brain does not work like that. Like, I'm like, okay, let's do the music. Okay, I guess now we'll think about like what it's gonna look like and like how all of the other stuff goes with it. But like, clearly, like, Haley had a vision for this like from the get go, and like to an extent the rest of the band too, because they like you said, we had a situation where there were like kind of co-writers brought on, and we ended up getting this album out of not doing that, and that's. Yeah, we do this every episode, but spoiler alert, we really like this album, or at least I do. I think that's fair to say for you as well.
If I came in here, I was just like, no, this one sucks. Like, this is the bad one.
Oh boy. All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about some songs here. So we launch into this record with the longest named track on the album, and definitely the most of its era in that regard. For a pessimist, I'm pretty optimistic. My kind of big takeaway on this one is that this really sounds, when I talk about, this sounds like a very natural progression from what they were doing on All We Know Is Falling. This kind of exemplifies that more than most of the other songs do. Like it sounds very much like the band Paramore that wrote that other album, but better and more refined, and in many ways better produced. Like a kind of, and obviously the kind of more singular vision thing comes across as you listen to the whole album. But putting it back in context, coming back to the top of it all just makes really good sense. But there's also just some really cool stuff going on in this song, like the kind of variance that happens in the drums, some of the like little vocal changes that happen over the course of the song, like the "You Never Wanted to Stay, Well Did You" towards the end. Like it's just a stellar opener.
Yeah, my takeaway from this song is like, this is what happens when you play Emergency on stage every night for 2 years and then want to make it better.
Yeah,
it's everything that is good on All We Know Is Falling, but leveled up. And yeah, I think you're right to point out the production. This album is like immaculately produced and mixed. It might be like one of the best mixed albums ever to come out of this scene. It sounds like pristine without sounding like too shiny. Ben Death found a way to like to preserve the like kind of raw energy of the band while still making like an album that doesn't sound raw in any way. And it's kind of kind of an oxymoron there, but I think it describes like how I feel listening to this record.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. Like this album is very, very, very polished, but it still sounds like a band. And like kind of having the Final Riot as a reference point is kind of great, because like all these songs work really well live, even though there are a lot of things going on that like can't really be reproduced in a live setting unless you have a ton of people at your disposal, which they didn't do for that show until they play Misery Business at the end and everybody comes out on stage. But that's a different thing altogether. Yeah. Anything else about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I just think thematically, like they're starting to kind of build up this idea of like, which kind of runs through a lot of this album, about like disappointment in people that you trusted. And I don't know, there's just this, I mean, the album title Haley has talked about comes from, like feeling like a riot of emotions swirling around you, which is just like being a teenager, I think. But there's this like, I don't know, there's like a distrust with the world that kind of runs through this record, and also like a defiance that kind of wins out in the end, that is part of what I think makes this connect so well. Yeah,
100%. I guess the other big thing on this is that the bridge on this song goes so hard.
It does.
Haley daring you to fight with your bare hands about it is some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Then we get That's What You Get, which was not the first single off of this album, but it was one of the. I think it was the last single, actually. Weirdly.
Yeah, it was.
Which
yeah.
Seems insane, because my first note on this song is wild that they put the best song on the album second. That's what I have to say. maybe
it's a great song. You go right from like everything that was good about All We Know Is Falling, but still like sounds like this, like the same band. And the verses of this song are just to be like, ooh, look what we can do. We can do something that doesn't really sound like any of our peers. That like 6/8 groove and the kind of like spiky, clean guitars. They're immediately like playing in a different arena than they were on the previous album.
Yeah, the kind of mismatched drum groove, the drum groove that is in 4 against the 6/8 is like very tasty for me in particular. But like the drums on this song are just very good in general. And And also, this song has great gang vocals in the bridge, or the coming out of the bridge, I guess more accurately. But like, there's also like just a ton of like cool like little arrangement things going on in this song. Like, there's some weird guitar stuff going on in the background. There's some great vocal harmonies. I love it.
Same.
Even if it's not the best song on the album, which I'm totally willing to accept, it is wild to me that it wasn't one of the top contenders for like being one of the first couple singles, you know, since it did get released as the last one. Which I don't know how any of that works. So
that was the other tidbit in the David Bendeth interview that's so good, is that he was like, all the songs we thought were going to be the singles were just like not, which is weird in retrospect, because they're, you know, it feels like the singles should be obvious.
I think so. John Mayer, apparently, when he heard When It Rains, said, if this isn't a hit song, I quit the business. Which is funny, because that song wasn't a single. Anyway, When It Rains is also good,
that's about when he should have quit.
Ayo.
All right. But yeah, so then after that is Hallelujah. This is the song that kind of saved the band when they wrote it for All We Know Is Falling. And the one of the songs that convinced the label not to fire everyone but Haley. This song, like, it works on this record, I think, but it is a little more basic than I think the peaks of this album are. I don't know. Do you feel like this one fits here?
I think it mostly fits. I don't have a ton to say about it, if I'm real honest. The one thing I always forget about is that like that drum machine that's kind of layered behind the drums, which is an odd choice, but it kind of works. And I do like, I'm a sucker for like clever little lyric writing things. I do like that we have one repeated line in the verses, and then just kind of like playing with the form aside from that. But like, yeah, it's a good song. I enjoy it a lot, but like it's not as noteworthy as some of the other tracks we've got here, especially not the one that comes after it.
Well, yeah. So then after that, it's Misery Business, which is like I think just like an undeniable song.
Oh yeah.
The one of the best guitar riffs ever to come out of this scene. Like the performance is like just enrapturing. It's a jam all the way through. This is a great song.
Yeah. Like obviously this was the first single. Like this is there's no way it's not. It's such a banger. I kind of mentioned this earlier when we were talking about my karaoke experience with this song. But I just love all the little things that add up on this song. Like, I guess I don't know if this happens in the single version actually, because like I don't think the single version has the strings at the beginning, and I don't know if it has the hit that snare that's like very buried in the mix. But it is on the album version, and that's what matters here.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard the radio edit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm sure I have. Well, okay, I'm sure I have heard the radio edit, but I have not heard it in the last like 10 years.
That's fine. You don't need to, because the album version is better in every single way because it has all that stuff. Also, I one of my big notes here is more pop songs need castanets in them, because I love that. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to say more things about this song than have already been said. Like it's just an abjectly like almost perfect song. It
which makes it even more like fascinating that they have kind of disowned it in a way.
In a way.
I don't know. Do you like? What do you think about that? About the like the idea of like this represents like a part of my youth that I'm not proud about, so we're just not gonna acknowledge it anymore.
I totally get that. In fact, like I know at that like in that interview with Bendeth, it was mentioned that like Haley was kind of concerned about using certain language in the song. She's like, I wouldn't say that, and he's like, You did say it. You wrote that. You wrote that down on that piece of paper there. And like, I think it is. I think I get where he was coming from on that front. Like this is how you're feeling now. Like this is authentic to you. So like, I think you should be fine with singing it. And I know that like the kind of abandonment of this song for a while, I think they're kind of back on being okay with it for the most part. It's kind of just
they brought it back on some shows recently.
Yeah, and it's about the song's whole vibe, which is very like, you know, women against women, and in particular like in the interest of a man, which is like it's not what Paramore's going for the most part, and especially like a, you know, 5-10 years out Paramore. I totally understand being like, listen, I know this is a hit, and I know that this song absolutely rules. It's just that the lyrics are maybe not it for us anymore. That said, like it is pretty hard to do that with your absolute biggest hit, you know, for a long time. Obviously, they topped that in some ways later on in their career, but this was the one for a lot of people for a very long time.
Yeah, it's like, it's one thing if the hotelier decides not to play Housebroken, you know, the like 7th most popular song on their album, except like, you know, and they only bring that out for like album shows now. But like, yeah, it takes a lot more, I don't know, guts to say like, we're gonna say that we grew up from where we were when we wrote our most popular song, and we're just not gonna play it for 6 years or whatever it was.
Yeah, like I want to be clear, like my condensed version of what I just said is I respect it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that, you know, that said, song goes hard. It's undeniable.
It really does. The drum fill before the final chorus is like the punchiest, coolest sounding thing. Like this is emos in the air tonight moment.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I would agree with that. Do you have feelings about the acoustic version? My feelings are it's all right.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit of like a shakier performance, which kind of makes sense. It's I don't know, the I don't want to say like no one could play this live, but like I think the tightness of a big professional studio recording helps this song a lot. This one, it would feel rough pretty quickly, like the looser the recording gets.
Sure.
And I think that acoustic version just probably didn't have as much time put into it as the, you know, the marquee song of the album.
Yeah, totally. This was definitely at a time where like, and by a time I mean that was like what it would have been 2002 to 2000, probably like not that long after this, where it kind of felt like every major song in this kind of greater scene did have an acoustic version, and sometimes it was kind of slapdash and sometimes it was kind of great.
Yeah, there's the Punkos acoustic compilations and stuff, which I listen to religiously.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it's obvious it's one thing. It's obvious which bands spent time on their acoustic versions, and two, it's obvious which bands are good based on those. Like, you can tell pretty quickly if the song, I don't know, if the song like doesn't work when it's just an acoustic guitar and vocals, or you know, like, and sometimes they're like bafflingly bad. Some of those Punkos acoustic renditions, but this one is not that. It's just not as good as the original version of the song.
Yeah, for sure. That actually does remind me of an interview I saw with Metric a while back, famed Canadian rock band Metric, where around the time that they were making Fantasies, they were with a producer who told them, okay, cool, so you got these songs, play them all on acoustic guitar with just vocals. If it sounds good, it's a good song. If it doesn't, it's not a good song. Which is something I don't 100% buy, but I do totally get it. I think it can be a very good indicator of whether or not a song is good.
I think if you're in like the general realm of rock music, I think that like 100% holds up. I think when you get into other styles and other approaches to to music, I think maybe it doesn't work as much, but like for like 99% of the music I listen to 99% of the time, I think that is I actually completely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely for some genres more than others, and you know, obviously guitar-based genres are going to be the most subject to that. But yeah, after that we've got When It Rains.
Yeah, this one's kind of a come down from Misery Business. I mean, I think intentionally. It's not a bad song. I see how they kind of thought it would be a big single. I think that the chorus is like a Red era Taylor Swift kind of bop. But it's tough to follow Misery Business for sure.
It's definitely tough to follow Misery Business. I like this song a lot. It is a very good song. I don't know that I would have put it as a single. I always like when Haley doesn't belt on songs, because like I think the middle of her range is really, really good. And like obviously, like, you know, given the drive of the genre, like her belting is like often what ends up being needed for a song, and obviously she also does that incredibly well. But I always kind of like when she gets to kind of drop in her register a little bit. But the guitars on this song are great. That delayed guitar part is great. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on here. But yeah, it's hard to follow up Misery Business for sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of a move from like anger into like a deep sadness that kind of goes through this song and a couple other ones on the back half. I think that kind of seeds that emotion of to add to the riot of emotions on the album.
Yeah, totally. I liked the demo of this song a lot too. It felt like Jimmy Eat World adjacent in that like particular arrangement of it, before everything's like kind of fully formed as it is on the album. There's a couple of like little vocal affectations that like don't make it into the final version that I think are cool, but I understand why, you know, for the sake of making a final like recorded product, you might smooth that over. But I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, not the only time we will mention Jimmy Eat World on this,
definitely
as an influence on this album.
Not even a little bit. And you know what? Cool. I love that.
Yeah, next up is In Flames. No, Let the Flames Begin. I think this is like a pretty cool song for like such a young band to write. It's a very like empowering, confident song. That I think is like, I don't know. I keep coming back to this as like a, you know, it's you know, kids like turn to the bands they look up to for like so many different things, and I think there's like every like emotion you can look for in like or connection you can look for in like a role model or whatever, your pop idol or whatever it is, like it's all in this record. But I think that this album kind of bends towards empowerment in a way that is fascinating, and like I think just like was refreshing to hear at the time, and it's still kind of refreshing to hear for like a young band to write songs that are so I mean, I guess, I don't know, young people are optimistic, but not so much anymore. Maybe that's why it feels refreshing to look back on it now. But I don't know. I think that's the thing that stood out to me about this song, and like to see them play it on Final Riot also is like, you can see that they really kind of took that to heart.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that like that definitely contrasts with kind of what we were seeing in the lyrics on All We Know Is Falling. Like that was a much more like, I'm experiencing this thing, and it is not being good to me. Whereas this is a much more, I think, empowered record in general, but yeah, this song in particular really kind of takes things back into the hands of the narrator of the song, which is really cool. The chorus on this song, I think, especially because of how much it contrasts with the verses, like really hits extra hard. Like it's got that like kind of crunchy overdriven sound. Like even the vocals get a little bit of overdrive, I think. I think it really makes it work. I do also have the sentence mid-career thrice-ass guitar lead written down for this song, which I stand by, and I mean that in a good way.
I love that, like, you know, everyone because, you know, they're kids and kids were teenagers, whatever. They wear band t-shirts. Like, you just see what they were listening to at the time. And like, you know that, like, you call it one of those influences, like, you know, they were listening to Thrice. And so they were putting a Thrice style guitar lick in this song. And like, you know, they're listening to Jimmy Eat World because Zach is wearing a Jimmy Eat World shirt for like that entire DVD.
Yep.
And yeah, those influences are so like, they're really apparent, but they're not like, it never really feels like they're ripping anyone off, I think. Just that they're listening to tons of music and internalizing it in the way that you do when you're 17.
Yeah. No, like I think that, yeah, there's a big difference between critically listening to something and understanding what makes it cool and being able to apply that versus yeah, doing a straight ripoff, which is what most bands their age would have done. And probably not done it very well. I know I've been there. But yeah, it is really cool to like kind of get those glimpses at like, you know, obviously the influence is obvious in some places, but again, like it's a well applied, shot at like doing what makes that cool versus like, yeah, just being like, oh yeah, that riff was cool. Let's use that or something like that. Yeah, I think that's neat, and it is kind of cool to get confirmation of that because it's like, oh yeah, yep, we got Jimmy Eat World shirts left and right in this documentary. Well, the same one, but yeah, you know.
Yeah, and then after that is Miracle. If there's like I don't know about a low point, but I don't know, this song is like a definite, I wouldn't quite call it filler, but I would call it like this is when we, you know, stuck a little further down the track list for a reason. I don't know, it kind of rocks, but it doesn't grab me the way that much of the rest of this record does.
Yeah, my note on this is just a good song, or a good song. That's pretty much all I've got. There's some cool little background synths happening that are like not super a thing on a lot of the other tracks here, but yeah, it's good. I like it a lot. Just not nearly as much as other songs on this record. But yeah, you know, I do remember from that one interview them saying that there were like, I think 40-ish songs going into...
They came in with like 40 ideas.
Okay, yeah. Who's to say how complete any of those were? But yeah, like I don't think, like, you know, kind of knowing the B-sides that do exist and are out there, like I don't know that I'd replace this with any of those necessarily, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after that is Crush Crush Crush. This was a big hit, I think. I remember hearing this song a lot, maybe just because it was in a Guitar Hero or a Rock Band, one of the two.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But this is the one that I was like, oh, the Jimmy Eat World influence is strong. And not even just like in any like particular element of the song, but just in that Jimmy Eat World tends to have like one really heavy, dark, kind of minor sounding like hard rock song, and like on, you know, Get It Faster or on Bleed American, or especially like Nothing Wrong on Futures, I imagine was like a big influence on this song.
Yep.
I don't know how well this one holds up. It is a kind of a messy song in a way that I like didn't think about when I was younger, and now it feels like a lot of pretty cool ideas that are kind of duct taped together. Each individual part works really well, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does this one still work for you?
I remember it working a lot for me when I was younger. I think a little less so now, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was, but I think it's kind of what you're getting at, is that like this song has a lot of cool elements, but those elements are mostly cool in isolation and maybe not as a whole. I think it still mostly works. Like I'm a sucker for shouting out 2, 3, 4 at the beginning of your of your chorus.
Well, sure, yeah,
but
that's always going to be good.
That's always going to be good. But yeah, it takes a lot of turns, and like, you know, it feels like it is, I don't know, maybe like 80% of the way there in terms of like everything gluing together really, really well. But like, you know, that extra 20%, like I feel like it could have been worked out into a, you know, an incredible song, which, you know, the song that I was hearing back in 2007 when I was listening to this for the first time. I do think of these like component parts, my favorite bit is the bridge. That is a like huge like Fall Out Boy-y bridge there, I think.
Yeah, well, in the David Bennett interview that we keep citing, he talks about like seeing visions of Joan Jett when kind of looking at how Paramore, how he would want to like, you know, present this record or record Hayley Williams, and like I really hear that in this bridge there.
Yeah, totally.
Then next up is We Are Broken. This is kind of the requisite like worship song on this record, similar to My Heart on the last one. This really just feels like you could play it at church, which is probably why I liked it a lot at the time and still feel some fondness for it now. I spent a lot of time playing in worship band as a teenager, and like this song just feels like it could come right out of that one of those Sunday mornings.
Totally. I did one thing that happens in the Final Riot was before they played. I think it was before they played the song where they were talking about, you know, hey, certain pieces of merch are proceeds from that are going to be donated to help out people who have been victims of sex trafficking, which, like, you know, I think, I don't know if this was just kind of like, obviously there was not huge mention of you know, what this song is about, in that like it is very, very much a worship adjacent song, but like I understand like the tie to, you know, being a human in the world and being subject to the will of other humans in ways that you maybe didn't ask for, like also being very applicable to the themes of the song, you know, as opposed to, you know, being broken in the eyes of God or anything like that. Sorry, this is all to say, I think it works outside the context of its original intent, also, in a way. I don't think it quite goes as hard as or doesn't quite hit in the same way that My Heart does, but like I still think it's pretty good. And I enjoyed the live version. It doesn't
have a screamo part at the end.
Yeah, listen, we've already established. Okay. Also, the version of My Heart that they play in the Final Riot, very good. I kind of like it a lot. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. There's one weird thing that happens in this song where there's like right before the bridge, there's a flying wedge that happens, but like the end of the flying wedge, like for anybody who doesn't know, a flying wedge is like when you do basically a crescendo that then just like drops off into nothing or drops off into a much quieter, you know, section of the song. Like right before that actually ends, it feels like the volume just drops, and I'm not sure what's going on there. I
didn't specifically notice that. I have been playing music for like 25 years and I have never heard the term flying wedge before.
This is okay. So yeah, this is a term that I learned from my friend Kyle, and it's one of those things that I have never questioned whether or not it's a real term. I imagine it is, but I also am the only person I know who uses that aside from him. So I could be totally wrong about that. But anyway, that's what it means when I say it. So we'll call it a term of art for this podcast.
That's very funny. Yeah, I mean, that could just be like a mastering thing or something. If I'm not sure, I would have to go back and listen to that to catch that specific.
I'll have to give it another listen, because I could be totally off base with that, and it might have just been like me not paying attention fully when I was listening. But I tried really hard. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good song. I think it kind kind of hits even if you're not, paying too much attention to the theme. But I definitely did go on Genius, and I was like, this song isn't not about God somehow, right? Like I still know,
totally
I still know when I'm encountering these types of things.
Yeah. Then after that is Fences. The most fun bass line the most fun bass line of Paramore's career up until like Ain't It Fun. This song rules. This is the one that I remember, like, when I would play this CD right when it came out. I was like, ooh, this is a band that's doing something like even different than any of their peers, just having like this jazzy walking bass line in the verses of this song.
Yeah, I feel like this might just be a too small sample size type thing, but I feel like there were a lot of bands that over the course of their career tried something like this to varying degrees of success. I have a hard time not comparing this to House of Wolves by MCR. It has a similar feel in a lot of ways. But I did write, there's no way they heard House of Wolves before writing and recording this, right? And then I have in parentheses, I looked it up, and it's very possible they did.
Oh yeah, totally.
But it's a good fucking song. That bass line does go crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I think this song is kind of funny in that it's like, it's kind of about how I feel like everybody who, pays attention to pop culture or whatever, like, everybody thinks they can be a better celebrity than actual celebrities. Like, everybody thinks that, like, oh, if I was rich and famous, I would be the best rich and famous person, because I would not waste all my money, and I would not do like dumb stuff, and I would, there's an element of like, look, I'll show you all how to be, when I'm rich and famous, I'll show you all how to act and how to be still be a good person, or still be myself or whatever. Even though, when I'm like living my dreams, there's kind of a very teenage defiance to the song that I really like.
Totally. Yeah. I think lyrically that pretty much hits the nail on the head. But yeah,
it's just also funny that it's on the album that made them actual celebrities.
Right. I feel like that's how you doom yourself, or guarantee yourself some degree of success. Is you call a shot of yeah, I'm not like these other celebrities. That actually is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, good track. Followed by another good track, I would argue.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, so we get to the album closer, Born for This, where we find out that they listen to Refused also. Yep. Turns out they've got taste. That, like, I had heard Shape of Punk to Come by this point, and like hearing that Refused interpolation was like, it like blew my mind. And I was like, oh, they also are listening to cool records.
Yeah. I had the exact same reaction.
I didn't already think that they were cool.
Right. Also, like, what's great about it is that not only did they pull a Refused song, they didn't pull the obvious Refused song. Although I'm not sure what you would take from New Noise in this context.
You would just yell, "Can I scream?" before the chorus or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's all. Yeah, but in the context of the song, "We Want the Airwaves Back" is such a good pull. It just rules so much. If I hadn't heard The Shape of Punk to Come before I heard this album, and I somehow found out that this was borrowed from that, I would immediately go listen to it and probably have my life changed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this song works really well as a closer. It was as I was kind of talking about how like the theme of empowerment that runs through this record, because it is like a sort of call to action song. It's it's telling you to come and like be a part of something, which is like I don't know, at least for me, I don't know about you, but for me that was like a very like potent emotion as a teenager, that I was like, oh, I want to be, I want to like the cool bands. I want to like, me and all my friends to be like singing along to the cool songs at the shows, and like to feel like the band didn't feel like they were above us and they were inviting us in to be a part of that was, I don't know, not every band was conscious of that, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that it works really well in this song.
Yeah. And I think we talked last week about Whoa, and like how that is kind of going for a similar vibe, but I think this song lands it so much better.
It's like 100 times better than Whoa.
Yeah. I legitimately like kind of find it kind of funny that they revisited like that subject matter with just such better, one, perspective on what they were going for, and two, just literally everything else about the song is better. And I like Whoa, to be clear. But yeah, this is a damn near perfect closer for this album. Especially kind of given the themes that we've seen thus far. And to answer your question of like, did I also feel that way? Yes, very much so. It's very cool to have it like I was, obviously same. I think I'm a year older than pretty much everybody in this band except for the members who are much younger. And I, obviously I saw that there was a difference between, what I was doing musically then and what they were doing musically then. But like to hear them, sing a song like this, I'm like, oh yeah, no, they totally still get it. And I absolutely am justified in relating with them in many, many ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just kind of the cool thing about, seeing someone your age succeed, is you get to feel like you're invested in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Bonus tracks. Any of these various kind of bonus tracks demos that floated around in this era that you particularly liked or hated?
Nothing that I hated. I was a little surprised by the electronic mix of that cover of My Hero.
It's really bad.
It like it started off and I was like, okay, I kind of get what they're going for. Whoever mixed this had no idea what they were doing. Somebody was learning how to make electronic music while they were making that mix.
Yeah, that's like Ableton Live free trial stuff. It's not good.
Yep. But that's as close as I get to hating any of this stuff. It's it's a novelty and I never need to listen to it again. The regular cover, the just acoustic version is Paramore covering the Foo Fighters. Fine. How could it possibly be bad?
Yeah,
I don't know. Most of the like B-sides were kind of like, yeah, I can totally see why this didn't make the album. Decoy is a good song. Again feel like I understand why it didn't make the album. It goes hard live. It would be too much like high school drama to the album, I think. Like, totally.
Misery Business has that covered, and it's a better song than Decoy. Stop This Song, the Lovesick Melody, is the one that stuck out to me as the strongest of these B-sides, but again, I don't think it would fit on the album. I just really like the rhythm section playing in it.
Yeah, that bass tone is I know it's a demo, but I kind of like it a lot. Not something that they do on any other song. But yeah, the pre-chorus on that song is really strong. I think maybe the chorus itself is just a little weak. But only a little bit, like not bad by any means.
Now I think they picked the right tracks for this album.
Totally. I went in thinking that there would be a lot more out there for this record, but again, like we mentioned earlier, there were 40 songs of varying degrees of completion going in, so like it could have been intros for like 10 of them for all we know.
Yeah, I always like every time I hear that I'm like just share the Dropbox. Like let me hear all of the ideas, the half ideas, the unfinished stuff, the out-of-tune voice notes. Like there's occasionally a band that you'll get to hear all of that stuff with. I mean, when we inevitably do a Jimmy Eat World series, I will, if you don't have them already, I will share to you the Clarity demos folder.
Thank you in advance.
I mean, there's like demos. Yeah, there's demos out there for all those albums that are fascinating. I think like Switchfoot has all of the. I literally just saw this the other day that there's like the one of their albums, the Hello Hurricane. They have like this building a hurricane thing that's floating around out there that is like the like individual tracks, like takes and demos and like half finished ideas from that record. Like there's the like 11 disc Radiohead leak that I should listen to someday of all the OK Computer sessions.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, that stuff rules, and I always want to hear it. I love seeing how, I don't know, we talk about this all the time. I just love seeing the process. Show me the behind the scenes.
Yeah. I legitimately love nothing more than hearing the crappy phone recording of a song that I love.
Yep, for sure. All right, any final thoughts on Riot?
No, aside from this album still really, really holds up. I'm not thinking too hard about like what rankings look like at the end of this series, but like I think this is going to be higher than I thought it was going to be. But I also haven't listened to Brand New Eyes in a long time, so I'm really excited to dive back out into that one for next week. But yeah,
same.
This record is very, very good, and I still feel largely the same about it as I did back in 2007, which feels a little wild, like, but at the same time, like it really just holds up. It holds up really, really well.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. You got any on our non-Paramore segment? You got any random recommendations for the week?
Yeah. My recommendation for this week is going to be another album. And who knows if it's for everybody, but everybody should listen to it anyway. It is, by the time you hear this, it won't be new anymore. It'll be about a month old, but if you've been avoiding Ethel Cain's Perverts up until now, you should go listen to it. For anyone who's not aware, Ethel Cain makes kind of like dark Americana music, I guess is kind of how you could describe it. And her most recent record is that, and also a noise record, and also kind of an ambient record, and also kind of a weird melding of the two on some songs. I think it rules. I really want to give that record a closer listen, because I did the thing where I listened to it on computer speakers, and certain parts I was like, is anything happening right now? And I'm like, oh, this is a frequency that these speakers cannot attain. So I'm going to do myself a favor and give that a closer listen. But I would really recommend, if you're even remotely interested in anything I just said just now, go ahead and give it a listen. What you got, Troy?
Yeah, it's a cool, challenging record. My recommendation is a hardcore band that I heard for the first time today called New World Man. They put out a 2-song single or 2-song EP single, whatever, today. And I guess they're a bit of a hardcore super group, has like a guitarist from Mind Force, I think. I don't know. I don't know the hardcore world that well anymore. But these 2 songs are not what I expected from like a hardcore 7-inch in 2025. The songs are long, complex. They've got these riffs and leads that sound like shreddy 80s hair metal almost. And the songs are also like really catchy. I don't know. That's just really, really took me by surprise not what I expected when I put on a random hardcore recommendation from the Hardcore Thread on Chorus today.
That sounds sick. I've never heard of this band. And the only thing I know about Mind Force is that whenever a hardcore fest lineup gets released and they're on it, people go, that's not surprising at all. So I'm excited
they'll play
to check
any
it out.
festival.
Apparently, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. We will be back next week talking about Brand New Eyes.